This is a HeadGum podcast.
Oh, snap. What we doing?
Oh, man, we talking about our live show coming up.
Yeah.
Ah, that's right,
It's
baby.
coming up,
Yeah, we
In
always
a couple of days.
Yeah, it's a couple of days, man. Hold on, wait. Today's Friday, so that's Saturday, Sunday, Monday.
Yeah, so if you are listening to
I don't know
this
why I
on
counted the
Tuesday,
days.
you've missed it already. So
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
Monday night, November 9th, 8 p.m. at the People's Improv Theater.
In New York City.
New York City.
City.
By the way, if you live 4 hours away,
You can take a bus.
you should be at this show.
Yeah, you
Yeah.
live in D.C., you live in Boston. If
You live in
Connecticut,
Connecticut?
yeah, you live
Yes.
in Connecticut.
You-
What was that?
Connect Cut.
Oh, my
You still
goodness.
have time. You have time to make
You live in
these plans.
Pennsylvania,
Jersey.
You can get here. You know what I'm saying?
Long Island.
Bring your friends.
Yeah, bring your
You know, bring your
Yeah.
friends. Come on a date.
I have
Buy
cousins
ticket-
in New Jersey. Come down.
You can buy tickets online right now.
Yes, they are available.
Well, they can buy them right now.
www.thepit-nyc.com.
Look
Click
us
on the
up.
calendar. Go to November 9th, 8 p.m. Black Men Can't Jump Live. And we are reviewing the film Hancock. Yeah, we are.
Yeah,
I'm
For
not doing
once
that.
and for all,
I'm not doing
we
that.
are doing it.
I'm not
For
doing it.
once
reviewing
and for
Hancock.
all,
I'm not doing
we
it.
are
People-
reviewing the
yes.
film Hancock.
Oh, are
and
we-
then we will know if it's good because it is. Yes.
Are we-
What?
Oh, this be the end of this bit.
You
You know what?
the end of this bit now?
Honestly,
We can
it
put
might be
Hancock
the-
to rest.
It might be the end of it. Okay.
We're burying Hancock today.
All right.
huh?
It might be the
Hancock
end of
is
it.
going down.
It might be the end of
Ooh,
it.
ooh, can we do a live swirl? Can I have like someone come up and be like, "Oh, hey,
Well, you
do
should
the
do
swirl
it.
for me"?
It's a live podcast, so you
Well,
should do it.
I'm
Oh,
saying-
you mean
I want someone
wait,
else to do it.
Now I have a question. Are you talking about a live sex scene, or are you talking about a live?
What are
No,
you talking
man,
about?
you
Whoa,
can't
whoa,
say
wait, whoa,
live
whoa, whoa,
swirl.
whoa, 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 whoa. We're not going to tell them what we're going to do at the show.
Okay, we can't tell them.
We ain't going to tell them what they need to come to the show if
Yeah,
they want to
gotta
know
come
what
to
we're
the
going
show.
to do.
Wait, we can't tell them about like the horses and stuff.
No, we ain't going to tell them about
Oh,
none of
don't
it.
even say horses now.
Horses.
We ain't got the horses, man. Y'all told me to order
Why
black
you
horses.
What did I just tell you not to do?
Oh, he said he didn't know what the
stop.
horses were.
No, stop. No,
You're
JB
talking
said-
on the mic. Stop
Oh,
talking on the mic.
Stop talking about the horses.
All right, man. Listen.
November
y'all told me to
9th,
get
November
horses.
9th, Monday, 8 p.m., $5 tickets.
We got a
buy
guess.
online.
We got a guess. We got a guess.
Guess Rami Youssef.
Yes.
He Egyptian too, right?
Yeah, he is
Oh
actually.
snap! Yo,
Maybe he knows the lore.
the who?
The
Hancock
Egyptian
lore.
god Hancock Lord? Yeah, we'll find out. You'll come to that show. All right, let's start this episode. Why?
I don't know. I got so excited. Start your show.
Jonathan Braylock, James III, Jerah Milligan.
What more can I say? You know what it is.
Black men can jump.
In Hollywood.
Black actors, man. Black actors. All right.
Welcome to Black Men Can't Jump in Hollywood.
Yeah.
Wait.
This took
You never
a
had
turn.
one of those.
Took a turn I wasn't expecting.
Yeah. Oh, my God.
Guys, if you can't tell, we have a guest.
We got a special
today.
guest.
It's a special
I want to
guest.
try to read.
Okay.
Hold on. Okay, yo, but you gotta do it again so I can try to copy it.
Oh yeah, cool. I endorse this Ariba. That's about
All right, thank you. All right.
Ready? Let's go.
Arriba!
All
I didn't know.
right. What?
Oh, okay, you had to show up. You couldn't just do it like
Arriba!
I'll tell you where it comes from. It comes from like, when your quinceañeras and the mariachis
Yeah.
like full on blasting and your dad's super drunk and he's like, just turn it up. Like it's just, basically it's still like original turn down for what?
Right.
But it's like turn up for what? But
Right.
he's just like, fuck it, turn up for whatever. So he's like, arriba, you know?
Ah.
So it's gotta come from deep within you. Your
Yes,
manhood,
I
yes.
like that.
All right?
It's so, right. So we should introduce
Yeah,
who's been
honestly.
talking to you in your earbuds.
Yes.
So
Sorry,
what are you doing?
I'm trying to get
He's
the
just
roast.
trying to get it.
I'm trying
He's
to
trying to
roast.
go to his depths,
Trying
to
to-
deep
trying to
within him.
Rolling the R's.
It is.
Arriba.
we got special
Oh, that was
guest
terrible. Mine was bad.
Arturo Castro. Arturo Castro. everyone. You know him from Broad City and his new Comedy Central sketch show, Alternatino.
Alternatino.
Hi, everybody.
Hey, welcome.
Hey, guys.
Welcome.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah.
We're in a very dark basement. Help me. Like you might, like hearing this show, you might think that we're in Hollywood, but no, we're just actually in somebody's like basement.
Stop telling the secrets. That's
So,
how
I
we
mean-
get
I mean,
all our guests.
Yeah, no, let them use their imagination and envision something beautiful.
Beverly Hills Soho House.
We did a classic Hollywood Mexican kidnapping.
Yep. Literally have like kidnapped. But listen, you know, it's going to be fun. We have snacks, water,
You know,
good conversation.
Yeah.
We have snacks, water, and conversation.
The finer things in life.
So we are reviewing the film Once Upon a Time in Mexico, directed by Robert Rodriguez.
Yes.
Starring
Antonio Banderas.
Okay, there you
I want to
there
say.
it
I
is.
feel like you gotta say Antonio Banderas' name like real tough. Antonio Banderas. He was Zorro, y'all.
He was Zorro.
It was every Mexican character
Yes.
for the past like 15
Yeah.
years.
Every single one, it feels like.
It's
Yeah.
like, you know, like I guess we'll get into it, but it's like, oh, you're kind of tan. Sure, you have a bit of an accent. You're white
Yeah,
enough.
sure.
You
Yeah,
cut 'em
sure,
all
yeah.
out.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
We are
Yeah.
definitely going to get into that. But I guess so. But first, let's just talk about Once Upon a Time in Mexico. Technically, it was the third
movie.
of the trilogy of
Yes.
the El Mariachi saga,
Yeah.
which
Yes.
is the character that Antonio Banderas plays. The film. So El Mariachi was a film that Robert Rodriguez made.
He was 22 years old, y'all.
Yeah.
Was that true?
It was
Yeah.
22. Like I have his book. Oh, I wish I would have bought it.
Oh,
It's
yeah.
called Rebel Without a Crew. And
Rebel
it's
Without
about
a
like
Crew.
how he was 22, still in school, sold like he was a lab rat basically to raise the money to do it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
$7,000.
And just shot it himself, yo.
Wow.
He was in wheelchairs. Like all he bought was a Steadicam.
Wow.
Yeah.
Pack the chest pack for it.
That must have been like early 90s.
It was.
Yeah.
It was like
it
92,
was.
93.
And very famously did that for like $7,000. And even though they like re-edited it, like they fancied it up a little
Remastered.
bit.
Yeah.
Remastered.
Yeah.
There it is. They still kind of billed it as like a $7,000 film, and I think it went to, I don't know if it was one of the film festivals.
Well, yeah, he got
Sundance or something.
He was one of the
And it got
first.
bought.
What do they call those guys? It was him, Steven Soderbergh, Spike Jonze, and Tarantino. They called them like they had a name. They
Oh,
were like,
yes.
like like those people who came out of like indie films in the Sundance circuit. Like he was like one of the
Yeah,
four.
yeah, the name, but
whatever
yeah.
they
I know
call.
what you're
Yeah,
talking
whatever
about.
they call.
I
He
can't
was like
remember.
one of the originals,
Yeah.
and it's like he popped after that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
It was him and Quentin Tarantino.
Yeah,
were so
and, like, they're
tight.
so
They were,
close.
yeah.
still very tight. So then he did Desperado, which was like the second of the
yeah.
films, but it was like
He
was
redid
just-
it with more
But you
money.
were saying,
it.
yeah, it's like remaking it. Yeah.
He just
He kind of
remade it.
remade it. A little bit of a different storyline, I think, maybe. But
It's I mean, literally the only thing that carries over is like because the first one,
It's just
the
the
mariachi.
name.
You don't know what's happening.
Yeah,
it's just
yeah,
a
yeah.
dude with guns and a guitar.
Yeah.
And this one is like now he has a backstory about like where he came from.
Right.
Which hold on, wait, does he really? Oh yes, okay, he does.
yeah.
have a backstory.
And then Once Upon a Time in Mexico was like, I guess the biggest budget of the three.
Yeah.
Also stars Johnny Depp,
Willem Dafoe,
Selma Hayek, I guess.
and what is his name? Mickey Rourke.
Mickey Rourke,
yeah.
This was the
And
most
Danny
American
Trejo.
one that they
Yeah,
did.
yeah.
yeah.
This is the one I was supposed to pop.
Which Mickey Rourke, by the way, I fucking admire. Like, I like that dude.
I do
Like,
too.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
Me
his
too.
style. Like, ever since The Wrestler, I went back to watch his stuff in the 80s, and I'm like, dude, like, Diner, Angel Heart. I don't know if you guys
Angel
ever
Heart's
watched
really
Angel Heart.
good.
Dude, Angel Heart, you know what? Like, it's like, you know why Mickey Rourke becomes an obsession for, like, actors? Because every, like, male actor wants to think of himself as a Marlon Brando type. But this dude, there was a scene in the diner when he's, like, just sitting and talking or whatever, and in Angel Heart, and the salt spills over, and, like, it's just, like, an accident, and he just, like, takes it really nonchalantly, pours it over his left shoulder and whatever,
Yeah.
and keeps talking. I was like, wow, that was a real fucking moment.
Yeah.
That was a real, like, actor in the moment.
He was right,
in it.
just
He was just like, and I
did
was
it.
like, that's so interesting. But, you know, until he came back for The Wrestler, he was doing these small parts.
Yeah.
In a bunch of, like, Mexican-themed movies.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Robert Rodriguez really liked him. He was in Sin City, which Robert
Yeah, I mean, that
Rodriguez
brought him
also
That's
back,
did.
another
really.
one.
And he was
Yeah.
great in Sin City.
Yeah.
So then you have Once Upon a Time in Mexico. Basically, I mean, honestly though, let's get into it now, right?
Read the synopsis.
Let's-
It's so hard.
Are
to
you gonna?
explain.
Oh, you have the synopsis.
Yeah, like hold on. You can keep going because like literally, it's such a hard movie to like describe what is going on.
right, because there's a lot going on,
If
and
you were the trailer, it would be like love, Revolution, Mexico, Johnny Depp.
You would say Johnny Depp.
Eating pork over and over again with Cheech Marin.
Does he have a false hand? Yes, he does.
Yes, he does. Why? Have you seen Enrique Iglesias act? I don't envy you.
Oh my god.
Enrique Iglesias was the only part that blew me up. It was like, first off, at one point in the movie, not skipping ahead, but you just brought his name up. He winks at the camera.
He
looks down. He looks down the barrel of the lens.
on it. Yeah, hell yeah.
And then they try to play it off where like they cut to like older women.
women.
The older women
no,
like
I
smiling
thought-
at him. Like, nah, man.
No, you just like,
Nah. Aw, don't do me like that.
I thought that was a choice. I thought that was supposed to happen.
nobody else will notice this, but like obviously the dude's supposed to be from Mexico, but like the difference between Spanish from Spain and Spanish from Latin America is like we say the C, we just pronounce it with s,
Yeah.
And Spanish pronounce it as th, it's like th, right,
Yeah.
and like
Yeah.
he had the thickest Spanish accent throughout, and I was like, so it was confusing. Is like did they import this mariachi from Spain?
Right.
Do they have mariachis in Spain?
Yeah.
Is he Spanish?
True.
Is he supposed to be Enrique Iglesias?
Oh man, I want to talk about this right. But okay, first let's do initial thoughts of the film. Oh wait, you want to read the synopsis? Go ahead.
I got the synopsis.
Go.
Hitman El Mariachi becomes involved in an international espionage involving a psychotic CIA agent and a corrupt Mexican general.
Okay.
Okay,
All
yeah,
right,
that's
yeah.
the movie.
That pretty much sums up everything. Pretty much.
That's what it is.
Yeah.
That's a log line. That's like
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
that's the elevator pitch.
Yeah.
That's like
So this the other cool fact about this film was like apparently it was only like 65 pages the screenplay.
Yeah. Apparently it was
And he,
so
like,
short, and it got
improvised
expanded.
a lot. He expanded it. He wrote it in 6 days, and like he hurried. Like it was filmed very quickly because he was about to film Spy Kids 2.
Yeah. And Johnny Depp was huge at this point too. This is when Johnny Depp was like, this came out in 2003 after Pirates, right?
Yeah, it was after
After the
Pirates.
first one. After the first
After
one.
the first
he, like,
one.
he popped after
So
that.
I would say to piggyback off of that, I'll say my initial thoughts.
Okay.
This was my first time seeing it, but when it came out, because of Johnny Depp, I was like, "Oh, I can't wait! I can't wait to see this movie! I can't." And then in seeing
what
it,
you actually sounded
that
like?
was what I sounded
exactly,
like. Oh my
exactly.
God, I can't wait to see it.
No wonder they didn't give you a ticket. You're like, dude, you need to calm down.
Something's wrong with you. You can't go in this movie theater. We're afraid you're gonna have a seizure, and we don't know what to do. But when seeing it for it's insane. It feels insane. Like there's so much happening. There's a lot of stuff in your face, but like, I don't know. I enjoyed it so much.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, I wouldn't say like so much, but like, you know what, dude? Like the thing about this type of movie is it's hard to like pan it or talk shit on it. Because, by the way, can I curse on this?
Oh
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
man.
Please.
All right, sorry, Mom, if you're listening. I didn't speak English at the time. I don't know what's going to happen when I listen to this. But yeah, it's hard to like talk shit on this movie because like it is very aware of itself,
Yeah,
it's aware
that
that
is
it's
true.
a genre, it's aware in very like true like machete style.
Yeah.
It's like winking at us, knowing that like some of the things that it's throwing at us are kind of silly.
Yeah.
But it as an enjoyable movie to watch, like yeah, sure, it has like all the action that you want. It's
Yeah.
kind of ridiculous, but like it kind of owns up to that. Do you know what I mean? It wasn't like trying to be super serious about itself. So yeah, I'll agree that I enjoyed it.
Right.
Yeah.
Ish.
Yeah, I'll definitely stick with the ish part. No, because like I enjoyed it to an extent. I do remember I don't think I saw this film from start to finish ever before. I remember seeing the end of this film like at least 5 times.
Yeah.
Because I don't know, like either it was on TV or something. Like I remember always seeing the end of the movie and always being like, what happened in the beginning of this movie? And then I remember like when I watched it, for this, I was like, oh, I'm finally going to understand all this payoff at the end. And then I realized, oh no, I don't.
I don't understand.
It's like just as confusing. Like there's like so many plot lines happening, and you're just kind of like, huh? Like what? And then I mean, it makes a little bit of sense. Like I guess if I haven't seen Desperado. Like if I'd seen it, maybe I would have.
You don't need
known
to.
a little bit, but I
Nope.
feel like no, right? Like,
You don't
and
need to.
and also, even though like Robert Rodriguez builds it as like a sequel, like it's not really built as a sequel. It's like its own movie. You know what I mean? It's not like, it's not like a comic book sequel or something like that, where they're like very much going off of the storyline from the movie before. So,
Because each movie kind of has a moment where they like just like flashback to the past so
Yeah.
you know where
Yeah.
you're at.
Yeah.
you
Right,
know?
exactly.
And I guess you guys were talking about it earlier how Desperado like was supposed to be a sequel to El Mariachi, but it's actually
It's
its
like a
own-
reboot.
It's
Like,
a reboot.
yeah.
Yeah.
And this feels just like a reboot with a couple of more
Yeah.
like, famous people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly.
I mean, basically.
Oh,
I mean,
Eva Mendes, we forgot to mention.
Oh, Eva Mendes.
Yes.
Oh, Eva. Hi, Eva. Hi,
Eva
girl.
Mendes.
What's up,
Eva
girl? Yeah,
Mendes.
how you
What's
doing?
up, Ryan? What's up,
Hey, we
Eva
just gonna be
Mendes.
dudes right now and say hello to Eva Mendes.
I was gonna say hi to Eva Mendes. We just
Eva
saying
Mendes.
hi.
Wait.
You know, just saying hi.
girl.
Hope you having a
Wait,
good day.
JB's
Yeah,
voice
how-
got all
hope you're-
deep. Wait.
I know why your voice get all deep.
Well, their voice is all high, but even if you like to roll with a deep voice
okay.
brother, you know. What
Oh,
I'm saying?
here we go. Here we go. Look, I will say this though. I'm gonna let y'all know how this show is about to go. I have a bias towards this movie.
Okay.
I like Robert Rodriguez a lot, so I will defend a lot of things that he does. So like this movie, I'm not gonna. I saw this movie in theaters. I had this movie on DVD. Like the thing is, like, only because I remember. I feel like I knew about Robert Rodriguez, the story of him, before I saw any of his work. So to me, the story of him getting that movie made, which I'm pretty sure, like I know, like Spike Lee, his story came from like maxing out credit cards. But the fact that this dude, like, basically sold himself to like a lab for a summer to make a movie.
Yeah.
It's
I didn't
and the
know
thing
that.
is, the movie like went huge. Like the movie like popped and went crazy. To me, is like this movie when I watch it, like it was an action movie. I had enough plot. You know, like it was enough love story to get me going. Like I knew who the bad guy was because it was two dudes fighting over a woman, basically. You know, like come on, man. People blowing up, getting hit by. There's one scene in this movie where there's a car coming and there's another car, and literally like the guy's trying to figure out
Oh, my
which way
God.
to run, and he gets hit by a car because he just doesn't pick a direction. It is the silliest movie of all time, but I like it so much.
like-
It's so silly.
Wait, talking about that, there's a scene where they're chasing Antonio Banderas' El Mariachi, and like they're chasing him, and he like gets into a car, and like he's just like blowing people up like left and right.
It's so
and
much wire work. in
like
this
so
movie.
much,
Yes.
yeah. And like he's like dodging all this stuff, and then he just crashes, and then they all surround him. I'm like, where do these people come from?
Exactly.
And I know
Out of
they
nowhere.
took them all out. Like all of a sudden,
Where did they come from?
they're
They were
surrounding
ready.
him.
One of my favorite moments, like along those lines, is like Johnny Depp talk like Danny Trejo was like there, and like the president's like right hand is there, and they're like watching this bullfighting.
Yeah. Oh,
And he's
my
like, "Let me rig the thing," and so he like presses a button, and it paralyzes the
Yeah, look at
bullfighter,
that.
and then the bull just goes to fucking
Yeah, and
down
it's
on
like-
this motherfucker. It's just like
It's
like
terrible.
shot
It's
over shot of just
so
like the bull
great.
just going down on this motherfucker.
So
And you're
great.
like, yes.
What is yeah, okay.
Okay, sure, that
Yo,
can happen.
this movie has. I know we're skipping around, but like some of the scenes in this movie are just so ridiculous. The mere fact that at the end of this movie, Johnny Depp has no eyes.
He has no eyes.
no eyes.
No
legs or
No,
legs.
yeah,
And he has just blood that's run down,
which
his
makes
cheek.
almost
He
a
doesn't-
mask.
Like
It
the
looks
crow.
cool as hell, though.
He looked like the crow, dude. He
Yes!
looked
Yes!
exactly like
Yeah.
the crow. I was
Yes!
like,
Yes,
dude,
yeah.
how did nobody pick up this for a sequel? You know what I'm saying?
We were talking about it yesterday. It was like, yo, that blood makes it like it's
Makes
like
it looks
crazy
really cool.
mask.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden he can use his senses. Like, and the thing is, he can, the little kid has to like put it
That's
in the
the
right
direction.
direction, and then he can just sense what
But
they
he
are.
does he shoots
A perfect
he
shot,
shoots a
but, like,
perfect headshot.
Just like for instance, like Daredevil, like he takes him like years and years
Right?
to like master
and
this.
he
not
has
Johnny
a
Depp.
chemical that's helping him to be.
Yeah, not Johnny Depp. Dude.
Johnny
he needs
Depp,
like he needs 2 steps, a little Mexican kid with
a
some
little
gum,
Mexican kick with
for some gum. The gum is important for some
Right.
reason.
a little chicle.
A little chicle,
Chicle.
and then he just like he can shoot people up. Like he misses once, and then he's like he hears him laugh. You
Yeah.
remember he hears
He's
him
like,
laugh,
"Ugh."
and he's like perfect headshot and perfect like knee shot.
Yeah.
Every time.
None of it makes sense.
But that
None.
that makes me want to take it back to Antonio Banderas because as Jerah saying, like he'll defend everything, right? We're all talking about how ridiculous it is, right? You have said before off podcast that like if it wasn't for like El Mariachi or Desperado, we wouldn't have like Antonio Banderas probably wouldn't be like the huge.
Okay, well, this is my thing. First off, let me ask this question. Is the proper term is Latino, right? Like talking about Latino. Okay, this is my thing. I feel like there aren't that many famous. I feel like there aren't that many, at least American famous wise, like Latino actors, like someone who popped here besides Antonio
Yeah.
Banderas or Selma Hayek.
What-
Like that's a big
But
name.
Antonio Banderas isn't Latino.
Is in Latino.
Yeah.
So
That's
here's
the thing.
Yeah, let's talk about this, right? So we actually didn't say this to our listeners, like there is no black lead in this movie.
Oh, yeah.
But what we are interested in doing, what we're going to be doing with some more guests that are coming on, is we're going to talk about other people of color, like
Other
films
colors.
with other people of color leads.
Wait, was there
movies.
any black person at all in this film?
No,
In the
not
movie,
even-
not at all.
No,
No,
not even
black
a
people
little
at all
bit.
in this movie. It's just
Not
white
even a
people,
little bit.
white people and Hispanic people. Okay, so here's the
Not
thing.
even a little
Here's
bit.
what and we were kind of debating this before we picked this movie, but I think it's good to pick it just so we can highlight this fact, right? That Antonio Banderas is not Latino. He's Hispanic. He's from Spain. He's born in Spain, right?
Not even Hispanic. It's like Spanish.
Spanish.
Yeah.
He's
Oh,
just
wait,
Spanish.
can you break it
I don't
down a little
really-
bit? Sorry.
Well, yeah, like I don't, and mind you, I didn't learn political correct terms
Right,
until
right.
I came to the United States because
Yeah.
back where I'm from, everybody's Latin or Hispanic or whatever,
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
we just call
Yeah.
each other by our names. You
Yeah.
know? But here, when you move here, you like need to self-identify.
Yeah,
so you're like,
yeah.
all right, cool.
And we need to categorize
So,
you
yeah,
really quickly.
I believe Hispanic, I believe, and please, oh my God, this is gonna come back to haunt me. But Latino, you're from Latin America. Hispanic, you do have I believe it's an American of Spanish descent.
Yes, in America. Spanish.
But I believe that when you're from Spain, I don't believe that you're Hispanic. I believe that when you're from Spain, you're just Spanish.
Yeah.
That's
Right.
just your
Yeah.
nationality. That's just who you are.
Right.
There's also other terms like Pan-Hispanic or
Yeah, yeah, I heard
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
I have
Well,
no
like,
idea what that means.
Let's just talk about pure history, which is
does that mean you're a boy that never grows up because you
I
went to
know, 'cause
Neverland?
it's-
You went to Neverland, but you were really kind of brown and kind of cool and so. Hey, that's a Pan Hispanic right there. Motherfucker can fly. What is that word?
Yeah, I think the distinction is important though, because Spain is Europe, right? It is still, and they were a part of the countries that decided to colonize all of the world. So England colonized a lot of the world, France colonized a lot of the world, Spain colonized a lot of the world, and so you have what's considered quote unquote Latin America, and even a lot of South America was colonized by Spanish,
Portuguese.
Spanish and Portuguese Europeans. So that's why you have a lot of Spanish speaking people in those countries, right? So, but here's the thing. I was looking at actors wise, and I was like, Antonio Banderas is probably the most famous Spanish descent actor.
He's from
right?
where is he from?
He's from
Antonio
Spain.
Banderas?
He's
from
literally
Spain.
from
But he's
Madrid.
from Spain. And then I was thinking of
Okay.
other ones who've been nominated for Oscars and stuff. You got Penelope Cruz,
Javier Bardem.
also from Spain.
Javier Bardem.
Yeah.
Javier Bardem, also from Spain. And then I was like, how many Latino actors were actually nominated
Rita
for
Moreno?
Oscars
Rita
Best
Rita
Actor?
Horn?
Rita Moreno.
It was I gotta pull it up. It was literally three men and 3 women, and 2 of them for the men were back in the 50s.
Yeah.
And
Ricky Ricardo was one of them. Yo, and also while you're at, can you Google the difference between Hispanic and Latin?
Yeah.
So that we inform ourselves.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I mean,
well,
I
I
can
can
know
just
because
kinda
on the
read
census
that.
it's non-white. They do. I think they group Spanish people as Hispanic because then in censuses they do Hispanic and then they do Hispanic and then in parentheses non-white, which in my mind
The census
meant
just
Spain.
confused the shit
census
out of
is
me, man.
confusing.
Are
They don't
you
know what they're doing.
white Latino? Are you darker Latino? Are you Latino? I'm I don't know, dude. You tell me. I can't really talk to a paper page. But yeah, it seems like there's a. But you know what? It's changing. It seems like the trend has been,
Right.
more European-looking actors in Spanish role. I mean,
Is that-
if you
you
want to
think- I
go
mean, not
go
the-
back to
Yeah.
Viva Zapata, Marlon Brando,
Yeah.
doing that.
Right, they did
Charlton
do a lot of
Heston
brown
played
face.
Mexican.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I can't remember what movie it was from, but they've done a lot of brown.
Alan
faces
Arkin
over the
has
years.
played.
Mexican.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
there
That's
was
so
also this
interesting.
shitty movie that I believe even Robert De Niro was in, or also it's about a priest somewhere in Latin America. But Angelica Houston, all sorts of people
Yeah.
were supposed to be Latino, and
Right, because
none
it
of
was
them were.
just tan them and they'll look
It's so
brown and that's
interesting.
Spanish and that's fine.
There's I hate to say it, there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 Latin Americans who've been nominated for Best Actor. Damian Bashir for A Better Life in 2011.
No, but it's not. But 2 of them you're looking at, it's the same actor.
I know. So it's really only 3 people.
It's only 3. So we got this dude Anthony Quinn.
Okay,
Wow, it's really only 3 people.
It's only 3, and look at the actresses. It's only 3 as well.
actresses too, right?
For Best Supporting
hold on.
Actress.
What's so crazy is that technically, if you include Antonio Quinn and Jose Ferreira, they're both still nominated for Best Supporting Actor as well. So
Yeah.
in total for Best Actor, Best Supporting Actor, there's only been 6
Yeah, and
that is crazy.
I want to say about this that we were talking about those movies like the Angelica Houston, like if we just tan them and put makeup on them and make them.
Right.
I remember when I was a kid, when I was younger, I used to think that like, oh wait, like, but that. I used to think that that's what acting is like. Oh, you can play all kinds of different characters and like makeup and stuff will change, blah blah blah.
Right.
But then like the older I get, the more I realize like no, actually all that has been is excuses for other people to play roles.
Right.
You know, like
Because it's not like brown people get to be white.
right, yeah, like like,
Whoa! Can I just say I found out a fact about one of the actresses nominated for Best Actor of Latin American descent. Lupita was born in Mexico.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I never knew that.
Yeah.
She's her parents are diplomats. So
What?
she's technically Mexican.
She's technically Mexican.
yeah.
yeah.
And you know, it goes to show you the like lack of good roles available to actors
Yeah.
of Latin. And then I want to touch on this real quickly. So if you haven't seen the movie, William Dafoe plays this Latin Mexican drug dealer.
Yeah,
and he's in brown face.
Is he supposed to be Mexican?
I believe so.
He
I
is
mean,
because
no,
he's
right?
the bad guy in the flashback who got facial reconstruction.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So like he's in brown face, right? Which like to be honest, like because of them, we've already talked that this
Yeah.
movie's kind of not taking itself seriously. It didn't really like. I wasn't like, oh my god, I have to stop watching
Right.
this movie.
Yeah.
But had that been the case, and he were in blackface,
Yeah.
this movie would not have happened in the
No.
2000s.
Right. And-
You know what I'm saying?
It's when the movie started and it's on Johnny Depp, I was like, wait, hold on, is Johnny Depp in brown face right now? And then like I realized
saying that.
he plays different characters throughout. Like there is a point where he is, but
Yeah,
but that's
he's
his,
like a priest, but I couldn't tell if that was supposed to be the CIA character at dressing up as the
Yeah,
as a
it was.
priest.
It was.
Yeah,
He was
yeah.
the cover. But I have a question for you guys, and this is just a general question, technically too. As we all know, African Americans, like a lot of actors, they go through, like at least back in the day, probably a lot of them still do, go through the paper bag test, right? And now looking at like the
What's
list,
the paper bag test?
the paper bag test is like a lot of roles back in the day. If you were going to be a black actor on TV, you needed to like be lighter than a paper bag or like the same color. You couldn't be darker than a paper
wow,
bag.
okay.
And
That's fucked up.
it is right, but yeah.
I was like, what is this? I didn't know what it was, but I knew it was going to be fucked up. I just didn't know it was going to be. Yeah.
But just talking about, like, for instance, Antonio Banderas and like a lot of people being from a lot of, I guess, the famous Spanish actors who like make it here in America are from Spain, which is to me, I guess, closer to being white than like someone from Mexico.
I think it is white.
I mean, I kind of do too, but I don't want to
just-
say. I do. I don't want to say it's white, but
Here's to me the only reason that we don't think of it as white is because those actors play Mexicans, they play South Americans, they play Latin Americans, like they play other roles that are not Spanish, like not from Spain.
Yeah.
And so then we think like
We relate them to every.
See, this is the importance of why we're talking about this stuff in movies, right? Because Hollywood's impact on society is huge. It's huge, right? Like we think, and we'll get into like how this film depicts Mexico, but like that's why I think, but the reality is like when we think of like white Europeans, you think of like colonialism. Spain was one of the main countries that colonized and killed so many people. Like we can't forget about that.
That was a shock for most native people of mine, the sand, and the natives of Latin America. That when they showed up, there were these blonde, like blue-eyed dudes. They never seen the like of it before. They'd never seen a horse, by the way. Yeah. But it was also like the color of their skin was so much whiter than theirs.
Yeah.
And they were like, oh, they must be some sort of like godly, like silvery, like they're wearing like silver armor and shit, or like metal armor, and you're like, whoa, these guys are like kind of godly, right? But it's because technically, the only reason why some Spaniards are a little darker is because it had a huge Middle Eastern occupation. Right. So it was hugely Muslim dominated areas of it. There was a great influx of it, and still today we have a lot of words in Spanish that are Arabic.
Right.
They're Arabic words. A lot of them, like when you say, inshallah in Arabic means I hope to God it happens. Well, in Spanish we have the same one. It hasn't changed. It means ojalá. And then when you start thinking about it, that's the reason why like you might associate some people being darker, but as white culturally, Spain was kind of like everybody else, like France, like England, when they colonized, it's not like they became Latino. They just kind of they have their own thing, but I think for the American public or for Hollywood at the time and up to now, it's been more comfortable to associate somebody. It kind of looks like the general public. It's dark enough to be a little exotic.
Yeah.
But not,
Yeah,
this brown
yeah.
paper bag shit is like blowing my mind.
Yeah.
Or like, like not indigenous features. Like you don't see indigenous features. And even Damian Bashir, who is an amazing actor, fantastic actor. You've seen him in Weeds, you've seen him in a bunch of stuff. Homie doesn't look like, the typical Mexican dude. You know, when you think of like the typical Mexican dude, like somebody native from Mexico, and by the way, we all come in all shapes and sizes.
Yeah, and colors.
But the ones that happen to be on camera most of the time tend to look less indigenous and more European.
If they're in leading roles, right?
Yeah.
Because if they're not, if they look indigenous, then they'll be the mariachi band.
Yeah.
They'll be the drug cartels, right?
Yeah.
They'll be like the people who are like trying to sneak over the border.
And I'm still thinking about how if Willem Dafoe were if he were in blackface, how there probably would have been like a huge uproar about that. But
That's not actually. Now that you guys say it, that's not true because was it
you thinking of
Robert
Tropic
Downey
Thunder?
Jr.
But
did a whole movie.
but that was a whole
like-
part of the joke of that.
But
was
the
that-
part of this movie technically is the fact that this is a pulp movie. I mean, if you think about it, this is literally pulp, and it's like in that kind of movie, this would happen. Like if this movie was set, I
gotta say, I don't know. I don't know definitively if William Dafoe was in brownface. Because part of me like wonders. I think the reason that it wasn't made a big deal is because there wasn't like direct.
that man was tan with
But
a
he
dark
was
mustache.
But I'm
supposed
just
to
saying,
be-
like he was but he was tan. But like you would be tan if you like lived in Mexico and like were out in the sun.
But also
all the
though,
time.
the character, right? So then
What
now
I'm
that-
saying is they didn't. There wasn't like a direct like
He had
this
an
guy
accent.
is Mexican.
He had
You know
an
what I mean?
accent. He had an accent.
But he also like didn't know Spanish.
But he's supposed to be
like he didn't know Spanish.
He spoke Spanish in the film.
He spoke some Spanish, but then like remember like.
But that was a
did he just
parameter.
have a tan? Is that what you?
No,
you
'cause,
think
like,
maybe he just
They
had
literally made his hair jet black, slick.
Yeah.
He had a super
and
thick
he was
mustache.
supposed to be that general guy,
He was
right?
supposed to be the general.
So he
No, he was a narco guy. He was a narco guy.
Yeah,
the
yeah.
general guy is
No,
another
he's a
dude.
narco.
Okay,
Yeah.
But
okay.
I also have a theory why it wasn't that big a deal when
Yeah.
it happened, and it's because like I believe that like especially for the United States, like the history of black oppression and the history of like blackface and all that, it's like it's really strong and it's really penetrant within the culture. It's embedded
Yeah.
in the culture.
Yeah.
We still see it today. Like racism is like something that's been institutionalized and
Yeah.
it's been here, and it carries with it slavery. It carries with it all these powerful connotations.
Yeah.
This Latin America, like our Latin American wave of people, like we've almost kind of been like the Irish were when they first got here. That it's like
Right.
initially we came and we took a bunch of jobs, and like in film you didn't really see like a lot of us be represented. Do you know? Like
Yeah.
if in the 50s or something, you can see it in Streetcar Named Desire. There's one guy called Pedro, and like he walks around in a mustache, but whatever. But like the history of violence among cultures isn't as
No.
culture, like it's not like embedded into the culture.
Yeah.
It's
It's
not
as well
we're
known.
building it now, right now,
Right.
with
Yeah.
like the hate towards Latin America.
Yeah.
Being a political, being a soundbite for every asshole with a microphone.
Yeah.
Now
Yeah.
we're building the racial resentment is happening now.
Right.
But
Yeah.
with the African American culture, it's been happening.
built.
Because like I was ready to get mad, like I was ready to be mad about it. Like before
That's all he kept saying.
before the movie started, I was like, "Hold up, Johnny! Is he in brown face?" And then
all he
Willem
kept-
Dafoe shows up, and I was ready to just be mad, like for the rest of the movie.
My people
So, like,
appreciate
yeah,
it from
maybe-
your people. Thank you. My people do. Thank you.
Bridging
Just
gaps
a little-
right now. y'all.
I was doing some research about this, and like there is some history for like the poor representations of at least Mexico, just very specific to Mexico, from the Mexican government. Like they threatened in like 1922, like that's how far back it goes. They threatened to like ban films from Hollywood that like had poor representations of the Mexican people, and like things loosened like when World War II started because they needed Mexico as an ally, and so then they were like, okay, this is another way to like ease that relationship. But like, we'll not make Mexicans just drug dealers and like lazy, singers on the
But
side of the
we still
road.
had like Speedy Gonzalez,
You know what I mean?
which
Right?
And so
which I used to watch.
I used to
that's
also-
kind of funny. Yeah. And then I'm like, whoa, hey,
Wait a minute.
Hey, man.
wait, what the fuck? I watched it in Spanish, so to me it wasn't like, oh, dude, like, and then I heard it in English. I was like,
What the hell?
motherfucker?
Yeah.
Isn't it crazy
Oh,
when you
you
look at the things
crazy.
when you were a kid and you were like, hey, what the?
Yeah. And like, dude, like the Power Rangers is a perfect example.
The original Power Rangers.
Black is
Zach
black.
was
Yellow-
black and breakdanced when he fought. He had no fighting
that was
talent.
his
Okay, hold up.
In the
Break
opening,
dance.
Yo, he used to break dance and fight.
Hold up, evil monster. I'm
Yo,
gonna break that
I'm a
move.
breakdown.
And the thing that's crazy, which is so funny, I'm sorry, I'm going on this tangent, but Zach, as a matter of fact, had a boom box. Like anytime they caught Zach, like when he wasn't with the team, Zach was teaching the little kids, the inner city kids, how to dance. So he'd always be in the park with his boom box. Sure enough, before Zach fought, someone hit that boom box.
No.
Someone was
No.
playing it, and Zach
It's
was
like,
over there.
But also that actor was a really good dancer. Give him a break.
No, listen, I'm saying he was a phenomenal dancer.
Yeah, they made sure to get a really good dance.
Speedy Gonzalez is the type of thing where, like, I watched as a kid in Spanish. I was like, oh, this is a ridiculous little mouse, but it's funny,
Yeah,
you know.
it's funny.
And
Yeah.
then, like, when I heard the English version, well, didn't he have a friend who was always like stoned, like, oh,
Yeah.
yo, why you going so fast all the time?
Yeah.
You know, like,
Right?
And I was like,
He had his
"Dude,
lazy
what-
friend."
What? You know?
Yeah, exactly.
But like, it's something that you become aware of a little bit when you're older. Okay.
Yeah, of course.
So this has been happening historically for Latinos in general. I got to tell you, there's like some silver linings in the horizon, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Which are like, I just found this out, by the way. You know that kid from Grand Budapest Hotel?
Yeah.
The main
You know,
kid,
yeah. He looked. I thought he might have been East
Indian,
Asian.
right?
Yeah.
Yeah,
No, he's from Guatemala. He's Guatemalan.
Oh, he's
Oscar
Guatemalan.
Isaac is Guatemalan.
Yes,
Yeah.
I did
Yes,
know
I
that.
knew Oscar
I knew
Arturo
Oscar
Castro
Isaac because
is
No, that's why people mad about Star Wars. They got some
Yeah.
races. They got a woman lead, like and two
Black.
minorities in that movie. We winning.
We winning.
We winning.
Hands up.
We doing it.
Hands up.
Star Wars. We doing it.
No, but you know, there's in general, right now, I think our generation hope, and this is the hope that these millennials, right?
Yeah.
That we are like accepting an alternative type, or not really. It should have been the norm the whole time, but like right now, like when I grew up, there was nobody on TV that looked like me, right? Nobody in films that looked like me that I could be like, oh, I can aspire to be that guy, right? So I decided to grow up and be that guy, right? And now that like I guess my career is very time, like it was very time sensitive. I
Yeah.
came at a really good time because people were opening their minds a little
Exactly.
bit.
Yeah.
But also, like if you look at TV right now, if you look at comedy, you don't have to be like a supermodel that can't act in order to be on television. I think like talent is starting to trump
Yeah.
looks.
Yeah,
You know what I mean? It's therefore what's seeping in, and it's not. But mind you, I cannot not tell you how many auditions I've been sent that I haven't. Some of them I haven't even taken for drug dealers this year, and this is like. You know,
Yeah.
And you're doing pretty freaking well career-wise.
I think that like parts of Hollywood are like, oh, we need to get the Latin market
Yes.
into it. I know that. What do they
Yeah,
love?
what?
They love some
Drugs.
drugs.
They
They
love
love some
drugs.
shit.
We
Get
got
some hot
bodega
girls
scenes.
in
it's not
there.
even, it's not, and to me, it's not even just that. Because here's the thing, here's the thing that I want to talk about. Like, people feel it's not that Hollywood's looking at Latino actors necessarily and being like, well, the only thing they can play is a drug dealer. However, the only time they want to tell stories that involve Latinos is when they're like, well, we got to tell this drug story. Well, let's get some Latino act. You know what I mean? And what they don't do is like, here's just a role. Like Inside Llewyn Davis, like
I love that movie, man.
that movie's great, right? That movie has nothing to do with him being Guatemalan, right? But normally, like that type of movie, whatever, 10 years ago, 15 years ago, like is a type of movie, and it still really is for most
technically
people,
now.
right? Is a role that they'll be like, we'll only give this to a white person because it makes sense.
But
to
he
us.
was playing white.
He was
wasn't
playing
playing
white.
white.
Because he, like Oscar's
He
a
was.
fantastic actor.
Yeah.
But he doesn't look
Right.
Yeah.
stereotypically. Like if you look at him, you might think like, oh, maybe Middle Eastern or
Yes,
maybe like
he has a
Israeli
ethnically
kind of
ambiguous look.
I think he's somebody of his family is from Israel. I
Right.
don't really know, but like
He's played like I feel like
He's played almost-
Middle Eastern.
well, yeah, he was in the Nativity Story.
Yep.
That was his first big film.
Yeah.
But in this movie, and you can note in Inside Llewyn Davis, you notice because his sister's completely white, his
Right.
father's completely white. Like you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like in this movie, it wasn't like he's Latin and like it doesn't matter. 'cause
Right,
he's
right.
Like
Well, I
his story
feel
will
like-
continue. It's like in the movie he was, and it's also cool because you can associate. just so it didn't. His Guatemalanness had nothing to do
Had
with
nothing
the
to
story,
do with it.
Right.
which is cool.
But he also
he
was kind of
playing
white.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
But-
And that's
is that-
why it had nothing to do.
But I feel like
Yeah.
that happens sometimes. Like it's a lot. There's some roles when it's like, oh, we need to find someone like who has darker features, but like they don't want to get a white person, so it's like an ethnically ambiguous person, and it's
Yeah.
like, oh, it's kind of like it's weird because yes, Oscar got a job. Oscar was in a movie that like was a great movie, but it also kind of like is sad
Makes me
because
wonder if that's his real.
like, but the thing is like it sucks because like that character could have been Guatemalan without the focus being that like this character. It could have still been just like a Guatemalan man who is just trying to do music.
Yeah, but then
Homie,
who's
six,
gonna watch
still,
that movie?
but you listen, like like that dude. Have you ever seen Searching for Sugar Man?
I've heard of that.
Dude, all right, homie is legitimately like Mexican descent, like legitimately like like features everything, and like the reason why he didn't pop off back around the Bob Dylan time is because he had a name like Sisto Rodriguez, right?
Exactly.
And they were like, if he had changed his name, maybe he would have blown up. He blew up in South Africa. It's a whole thing.
Yeah.
But-
See, I just what you're talking about now. I was like, while we were talking about it, I was like, I wonder what his real name is, and it's Oscar Isaac Hernandez Estrada.
Is it?
Yeah.
And what's his descent?
It's Guatemalan. Let's see if it says like.
Oh man, I did not know that.
I'm really happy that like you know what, dude, like the fact that he's in Star Wars right now.
Yeah,
That's
his
so
mom-
big.
He was born in
fucking
Guatemala. His mom is Guatemalan, and his father is Cuban.
Cuban. All right.
See,
cool.
man, even though we're not about to hype
Yeah,
on Star Wars,
he
but like
had
that.
to do Oscar, like what you were saying, Oscar Isaac. Like he couldn't. If he's,
Yeah.
I bet like he wouldn't be able to just like go and kind of do white roles if his name was like Oscar Hernandez, because then the people would be like, oh. Well, you're
There's a
Hispanic.
Latino.
Yeah,
There's
it's
a Latino.
Latino. Oh, we need
I see
Latino
there.
He's
Yeah.
got to
Hey.
be a Latino lover.
Yeah.
Yo, that is.
You know,
that-
I thought about changing my name a bunch of times. Like back before I got. Tell you what, even the first year that I was in drama school in New York, like the first dude I met, sweetest guy in the world, whitest whole human being you'll ever meet, like total bro. And he's like, dude, what's your name? And I was like, Jose Arturo. And he's like, Alfonso? No, Arturo. He's like, oh, Arnoldo, I'm gonna fuck this up. I was like, just call me Jose, right? Because Jose is my first name. And then like for 2 years I was Jose, right? Which is like literally like. Come on, man. You know, but enough said. But right. So when I was about to graduate, I was like, you know, because I've been Arturo my whole life, and I was like, you know, I think I'm going to limit myself if I don't change my name to something more ambiguous, right? Something Joe the Son, Joseph. There's like some shit that like references my name, but isn't it? But then my first feature film that I shot with this really cool guy called Ben Gazzara and Benny Pastore from The Sopranos. The guy, the director, who's still to this day a mentor of mine, I was telling him about it, and he's like, he's Polish, and he's like, Arturo, my name is Andrzej Krakowski. If they can say my name, they can say your name. Okay? And I was like, you know what? But I came to terms with my Latino-ness, dude. I did come to terms with that. I was trying to, because my sister's white, my other sister's brown, my other sister's white, because that's just how, my mom's white, my dad's darker.
Right.
And so I didn't realize that I wasn't just normal, like or normal or whatever, but like I didn't realize that there was something ethnic about me until I moved to the States, right?
Yeah.
So at first I was kind of like trying to like blend in, right?
Yeah.
Like being like, just like give me the roles, whatever role I can. It's like not,
Yeah.
And then at one point I was like, you know what, fuck it, dude. Like this is what makes me special. This is what like where I come from, like with the things that I've seen, the new wave that I'm representing is special, right?
Yeah.
So I owned Arturo Castro, and like it was so funny to think that it was something that I had to come to terms with and accept as a moment of like as an empowering moment, as opposed to let's just fucking my name and I think I'm gonna get work regardless.
Yeah.
Do you know what I'm saying? Because names do put you through the you know how many Craigslist ads were fucking like answered when I was looking for an apartment when I was like Arturo Castro and nobody knew who that was, you know?
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not that anybody knows who that is right now. Maybe if I put Jaime Broad City, they'd be like, you know. But like, you know, Arturo Castro sounds like a scary motherfucker.
Right.
You
Yeah.
know? Not because I'm scary or anything, but just it's like the image is that this Latino dude's gonna like come into your house and like, you know, super ethnic guy. So I had to like change and be like, oh, Joe Santiso or like whatever it is. And then I'd get responses and I'd be like,
Wow.
Yo, I'm gonna tell you what's
That's
so crazy if you saying that, and it's like this is gonna sound so dumb, but it's like to realize that there's like other races who deal with the same shit. I mean, don't get me wrong. Like I know, like I remember Cypher was on the show, and he was like, "Yo, like if you're from Spanish descent, like in New York, it's all like if you're black, he's like everybody's like the same. Like we all consider like the same struggle." And it's like to hear that like the name alone.
Yeah.
What, like, it's
Yeah.
like, I mean, like, I remember, like, literally trying to change my name when it was, like, applying for, like, apartments, applying for, like, jobs. To be like,
Yeah.
yo, I need to get a job. You know what I'm saying?
yeah.
Like, I need to get this job real quick. I didn't even thought about my agent, as a matter of fact. 2 weeks ago, I was thinking, like, they sent me paperwork for SAG. Like, man, should I just change this name real quick? Like, should I just make this name like should I make this
Something
name like
that sounds
Charles?
good on a billboard.
Yeah, like should I make this
But
like
you know
Charles?
what, dude? Fuck it, dude. Like like what I realized is like this is my theory and this is my like slogan and my real true belief for anything in life. There's so many people trying to do what we do that the only way we're gonna stand out is by being completely unapologetically ourselves.
Yeah.
Because there's nobody that's learned things the way you've learned them. There's nobody that sees things exactly the way you've learned it. So you can't walk into a room or you can't walk into an industry trying to get to tell them to tell you who you are. You got to tell them who you are and what you're here to do. And if they take it, that's great. And if they don't, like, it's like this, dude. There's a train leaving the station. You can either get on it or get the fuck out of the way. And but the way you're going to do that is by owning who you are, you know? But I had to, you know, it took me about 5 years to come to that conclusion.
Yeah.
You hear
So
that,
keep
Hollywood?
your name, dude. Yeah.
Jerah.
I'm gonna keep
Jerah
it.
Milligan's coming for you.
I kept it.
He's not
I
changing
kept
his
it.
name.
My drug dealer
Arturo
role is
Castro's
going on
coming
there,
for you.
baby.
Number
My drug
three.
dealer
Number
role is
three.
going on.
Jonathan
there.
Braylock's coming for you. James 3RD is coming.
Okay, all right, no.
James has 4 names, by the way.
That's okay.
No,
Same.
fuck y'all, man. I was about to say something and like join in.
He crushed it.
But look, we gonna be ourselves.
Yeah,
all
man,
right?
that's real for
We gonna come in, we gonna
James
be
Third is
real.
gonna be there. You know.
So can we talk
G-H-I-R-D.
about? And here's the thing: is Robert Rodriguez is American. He's born in Texas, but he's of Mexican descent, right? But like, and I understand it. He loves horror. He loves action. He's very heavily influenced by spaghetti westerns, and that's what he wanted to make. And he wanted to make them
By what, I'm sorry?
like spaghetti westerns, like old cowboy.
Yeah.
Good, the good, the bad, and the ugly. He's
Great
like,
film.
he was like, that film is what I wanted. Once Upon a
Upon a
Time in Mexico to be. Of course, the way that the good, the bad, and the ugly portrays Mexicans is
Not
problematic.
good.
We're
Yeah.
Not good.
and
Not good.
so, to me, it's like, well, that makes sense. Why I personally think the way that he portrays Mexico, like, continues to portray Mexico. Because it would be a different thing if it was just, like, one movie. But this is
Yeah.
like El Mariachi, Desperado, From Dusk Till Dawn. Like, he continues to portray Mexico in, like, this...
Everybody talks that. Orale, say like, no man,
Yeah.
I'm gonna
Yeah.
get that cabrón and I'm gonna fuck him up, you know.
Yeah.
Like, and it's like I'm like Cheech Marin is in this movie.
Cheech,
too.
yeah, Cheech
Yeah.
is in it.
Which I love you, Cheech. Thank you. Like,
Yeah.
you've done so much
Pioneer.
for the comedy
Yeah.
and whatever, but like some of the shit you do like throws us back 50 years.
It happens.
Because it's like Cheech and Chong were doing that. Were in the 70s they started
Yeah.
doing
Yeah.
those records and stuff. It's like great. Like we were talking about like the way that black films had to, or you know, black actors had to be, black exploitation, whatever. There was a movement that happened that had to happen at that time because like, you know, whatever the things that they were dealing with. But now it's like we can't be doing that anymore. Like it's 2015. Like
It's so interesting
not
you
the
say
70s.
that because we were talking about last night, like just talking about how Robert represented Mexico, and the thing is, like, I mean, I don't have anything to compare it to, but I just thought about how Selma Hayek's wardrobe was. Like, only because her wardrobe, like, to be honest, of course, it was like it wasn't super loose, super tight, but she was covered though. And I remember thinking, like, in my head, it's like if any other race directed this, like if there was like a white dude, I mean, even a black dude, like if somebody else would have directed this, would she be this covered up?
Right.
Like, it was to me, it was such a thing of like respect that I felt like he had for the people in the movie. Like,
I mean, yes, and at the same time, if you watch Desperado, I mean, she's naked in it for sure.
oh, that's true.
Yeah.
So like,
She's, like,
this
not
is
in
a
this
mix.
movie.
This is a mix of like you're a bigger star and you can decide whatever you want, what
true.
you're comfortable with. B, does it serve the does it serve the story? And you know, the only moment you see her like kind of half naked or whatever is when he's like kissing her belly, or that's after their marriage or whatever. But it's a mixture of things. But like, I think what we're, I think it's also star power too. Of,
yeah,
like,
true.
Yeah.
I
She was
can't
big.
have
She was
sound-
Right,
she
I
was
don't wanna
huge at
do
that
that.
point.
Also, her
Back in
character is
Desperado, I
dead.
can ask her to be naked. Like,
Yeah,
right now,
she was
like,
huge.
she'd be
Yeah,
like,
she was
"Go
huge at
fuck
that
yourself." But what you're saying is what you guys are saying is interesting. Like, is this portrayal of Mexicans hurting the perception
Right.
that we
Yeah.
have of, and you know, in a way, yes, for sure. In a way, yes. I mean, I don't know if it's his responsibility, but at
Right.
the same time, like whoever it is from any culture, including any race, including Caucasian, whoever it is that has a chance to represent their culture comes to a position of power. right?
Yep.
There's a certain responsibility that comes with that, right? You want to promote stereotypes and like you want to do something because it's fun. You go ahead and do it, man. It's not your responsibility to like change the world,
Right.
But there are opportunities definitely missed,
Yeah.
in bigger
Yeah.
filmmakers, Like Iñárritu does something awesome with like, his films.
Oh
when
my
you
God,
watch
it's crazy.
Amores Perros, dude, like you're like seeing like Mexico for real,
Yeah.
Not for like aspects of it, right?
Yeah.
But like his movies have nothing to do with him being Mexican. You just think of him as an amazing director, And I think that there's like just like there's a new wave of people in like what we're trying to do with Alternatino too. Is like to eventually get to a point where you can see just like some dude that's a doctor happens to be Guatemalan and
People
has nothing
being
to
people.
do. Yeah, playing
Also, like,
people.
People paying people.
Can I just like get like here's a scene? Here's why I personally think like it hurts, right? Like Once Upon Mexico in particular, the scene at the end where like it's supposed to be like the people rising up to help, you know what I mean, protect the president, but like watching this film, I'm like, oh, so every single person who's Mexican knows how to use a gun. They all are real quick and real cool about violence. Like even the scene where like Johnny Depp's like pulls out a gun and goes to the little kid like, "Have you seen this before?" And he's like, "Yep." I was just like, "Oh, okay." I was just like, "Cool." So
And the
like
redemption right after one, he's like, "I don't want to do it." Like,
Yeah.
I don't want to shoot that kid.
Yeah. It's like they're all like, you know what I mean? Like it's like every Mexican in the film is like pretty prone to violence. Like, and here's another thing. Like, it's true. Robert Rodriguez, it's unfortunate that people of color have a responsibility. Like, we shouldn't always have a responsibility, but we do.
Sometimes you should just make things because you want
Yeah,
to.
because you want to. Here's the thing: is like, let's talk about actors, right, for a second. Like, they say like Selma Hayek was like discovered because of Desperado, but she was already
She was already.
Yeah.
So she was in, you know what I mean, and she was doing TV and whatever. And this was, I think, it was like her first like major film role.
Yeah.
But still, it was like the person who Robert Rodriguez really discovered and like wasn't in anything was freaking Danny Trejo.
Yeah.
And think about that though, right?
Yeah.
Like he was like, and like he said like in interviews and stuff, like he was just like he just looked like a mean dude, like. He cast him based off his look because he looked like a mean Mexican dude who's gonna kill you no matter what. And I'm like, and there's something in that I was just like, I don't even know if Robert Rodriguez realizes what he's doing when he does. Okay,
But it's
hard.
that's what's so hard about this, and I think why the cause that we have is such an interesting thing because it's like at the end of this movie, you want everyone in the town to know how to use guns. You want Danny Trejo to be like just this badass. Like that's that's what you in this movie. That's what you want. But then it's hard because it's like we have we have this movie, or we have what was the name of the other movie that you mentioned that like
Anaconda?
no, just a few moments ago that you said that the director makes movies
Amores
about
Perros.
Yeah, and it's like I don't know that movie. I haven't seen that movie, right? And so like,
have any of you seen that movie?
No, the first movie I've seen by him was
fucking
Birdman.
awesome. Like it's a great movie.
You know, and it's like, and again, maybe that then becomes like on me to just sort of look
Not
for that
really,
stuff.
dude. You know what? I'll tell you another thing. Like, like the first time we went to Europe, I took a train from Paris to Rome. I was by myself, and I took the first class train. It's not that big a deal, really. It's like 3 bunk beds tightly stacked on top of one another, and I'm claustrophobic as hell, and I'm like on the top bunk, and like I'm huge head, right? And like in the middle of the journey, they wake us all up, and they're like, Castro, where's Castro? And I was like, whoa, shit. It's like, hey, me. They're like, where's your bags? Where's your bags? And I'm like, there. So they like looked at my Guatemalan passport out of the only person on the train having a Latin American passport. They figure I was carrying drugs. And so like they wake me up and they fucking do it. And I was like, you know what, dude? How would you feel if every time you go through a fucking border, everybody checks you because he's an Italian guy. Everybody checks your fucking bag for like hair gel and pasta. How would you feel? You know? And he's like, everybody's kind of laughing nervously. And I was like, you know what? Like, first of all, he's got my passport. Don't be a douche. And second of all, I was like, he's got a fucking point, doesn't he? Like, if I were in his shoes, like, it's not my fault, and it doesn't matter how much I sit down there and explain to him how many awesome honorable people there are where I come from, we are stained by the reputation of a few, and of a good many few that just want to cut corners and deal some dirty shit, right?
Yeah.
So yes, it's like there's responsibility in Hollywood. Sure, there's responsibility, but like the thing is, if you don't have a chink in your armor, there's nothing that they can point to.
Right.
But we do, and I think the responsibility starts.
But even
Everyone
in
does,
that
though.
though,
Nah.
Don't give that dude the benefit of the doubt. Fuck that dude because there are fucking white people dealing drugs left and
Okay,
right.
but it's not even just to me. It's not even just that. You're absolutely right. There are white people dealing drugs. Okay, this is the thing that we can talk about, right? Like, why is well, John? Here's the thing. It's like Mexico. They really do have a drug problem. It's true. Mexico has a drug problem.
America has a drug
Well,
problem.
but it's true, right? Like, but here's the thing, right?
You're the
Here's the
consumers.
thing.
They're-
Here's
you
the
know
thing.
what I'm
Why does Mexico? Why does Latin America? You know what I mean? Why are black people? Why are our races defined by our problems?
These movies.
And white people's and no, but here's the thing. Why is white America's
we're
race
not
defined by its it's not defined by its problems. When people, here's the thing. When somebody comes to a white person and they're not like, are you a corporate
Because
like,
we're not in
dickhead
power,
who
though.
like steals millions of dollars of people? No, for real though. Are you a freaking
But why?
banker
Because we're not
who's
in
going
power,
to
though.
who's doing tax fraud and no, that never happened.
But are we allowed to do that?
Because
Are we allowed
well, that's
to
my
do that?
thing. You
'Cause I
can't.
want to
My thing
now.
is the thing about that. For instance, if you go to a person who's like, "Oh, are you a Wall Street asshole?" Blah blah blah. That Wall Street asshole may be worth millions of dollars. For instance, right? Now the thing is, to me, money and power play
well,
and everything.
drug lords
Exactly.
worth.
Well, no, hear me out. Hear me out, though. The drug lords that everyone talks shit about. I mean, there's so many cases about America and people flying back marijuana and stuff from coke from Mexico. Us giving money to help keep this going.
Right.
And the thing is, at the end of the day, it's like if I have a house on a high hill and you want to move up next to me, I'm gonna point out anything that you have wrong with you to make sure you don't sit right here. Because at that point, I have power. So to me, until people of color figure out our own, and this is my grandpa's bad, I'm not gonna say it, but like my grandfather always talked about like how people of color back in the day used to support each other. And he was like, you know, you would have neighborhoods and people supported the neighborhoods and the neighborhoods would rise up and the neighborhoods would be like this big thing. And it's like now everyone has to respect the people who live there because now they're considered equal, which everyone is. So it's like until we, I feel like, can handle our own and like build ourselves up, then our kids will know, oh, I'm not taking that. That's what's happening now. I feel like our parents now, to like all the women that's rising up about being paid, people will kind of like, I want to fucking keep my name. Like now we're that generation that's like, fuck this. I'm doing what I want. And then our kids are now going to be like a step further. You know what? My dad ain't standing for this. I'm not standing for this.
And you know what? I see your point of like not giving that dude the benefit of the doubt because fuck him. And totally, you're completely right.
has
And
your
at the time,
passport.
I'm like, go fuck yourself. I'm a good person traveling in like first class that was like couldn't even afford it, but I paid for it so I could like sleep. But you know, at the same time, this is also our moment, right?
Yeah, this is
so
it.
yeah, fuck those people, fuck those bigoted people. But at the same time, like turning like just like washing our hands and be like, yo, because you guys don't know me real well, and not being like, dude, what are we doing? Like, also, what can we do better in order for these motherfuckers not to be able to tell us that?
That's it to me.
And like, I think like the reason I get so mad at that, I'm thinking about like all the black people being shot and how there's this thing of like, well, why do you walk the way that you walk?
Or
And
why
it's
do you
like,
wear that?
Why do you wear
Or
that?
why are
And
you
it's like,
talking back?
Completely ridiculous.
you know,
Why are
and
you
it's
talking
like,
back?
But like, but
Oh.
and like with that guy, it's like, or with those people that rushed you, they saw a name. That's it. It's like, you know, like it's like what, and that gave them.
I should have
just
changed my
cause
name.
You should have changed your name,
changed my
man.
name to Joey Tyler.
No, but I think
Joey
but
Tyler.
This is it.
But yeah, this is it.
To
This
me,
is our time.
This is the moment, right? No, as dumb as it's done. This is the moment to like at least push forward what needs to happen. Like, I mean, whether or not like our generation benefits from it or not, I mean, we don't know yet. But like our kids, they'll be good. Hopefully, you know, like.
Is there anything else in the movie that you want to talk about that hasn't been brought up yet?
Was anybody else bothered by Antonio Banderas' wig? Because it was totally a wig. It was totally a wig.
I
It was
it
a
was
wig.
funny that you said
He
that, 'cause
kind
I
of
was
looked like Michael Jackson a little bit.
He did.
He did because it
Especially when
was
he had the
wig.
rhinestones on the legs.
Yeah.
I didn't know it was a wig, but I was kind of like,
I think it
what's
was
up
a wig.
with his
I'm
hair,
just
though?
guessing.
Yeah,
but,
his hair, like he kept like putting his hair back.
Yeah.
and-
I mean,
it was natural,
His
man.
like the first shot of him, his hair is in his face, and I was like, oh, they don't want us to see his face, and then they cut back to him and like, oh wait, no, that's just the way his hair was blowing.
And it looks totally, and I'll tell you because
and it's perfect.
in Alternatino we used a wig that was like very similar to that.
Yeah.
And like before I used a wig, I'd never realized like how obvious it is, but like. Homie, like, probably couldn't, like, grow his hair that... And
Yeah,
by the way,
no,
I
he
might
can't.
be talking out of my ass. But, like,
No,
my
he
assumption
has
is...
curly hair.
He has, like,
it's curly.
but
He
I'm
has curly
saying,
hair.
like, homie had a wig. And I'm pretty... And sometimes I'd be like, shit, you have a wig. Like, I can't look past it.
But for comedy, it's fine.
Yeah,
it
but
works.
like, no, but like, you know, that, and I also wanted to talk about the beautiful, beautiful performance of Enrique Iglesias.
Oh, we have to talk about. So here's the thing: we bring up actually a lot on this show about how black rappers are always put into movies and like as actors, like. And like in pretty prominent roles, and we're like, "What the? Like,
Why?
Yeah,
like
like,
Dr.
why
Dre
is
was like in Training Day,
For what?
and he's like
What?
not an he's like not an actor, and he's not
yeah.
good.
Dr.
And
Dre
like no
and
offense,
Snoop
again,
Dogg
like,
both.
no
Right.
offense to these people. Like it's great that they get opportunities, but it's like why do they
I
get
don't
the
want-
opportunities?
Just
Like
because
it's crazy.
Just because I'm famous doesn't mean I need to make a rap album. Like that's to me, it's like,
Yeah.
oh, this is my difference. If you're training, like for instance, if there's like a rapper out there who's like in school, who started like whatever studying with a teacher, cool, you respect it. But just because like I'm like, hey, Jonathan, you know what? You went platinum, right? Bruh, come be in this movie with me. That's it just
Yeah.
feels offensive. It's like I have no training in rapping. Like
Yeah.
I would never want to offend rappers by
Yeah,
trying to rap.
and
because
Enrique
you give me an
Iglesias,
album.
is he in anything else, or is this like
I don't
his
think
movie?
so, man.
I think he,
Yeah.
I think he might be.
He might be,
What,
maybe.
He might be in a
Jimmy?
couple.
But this
I mean,
this
he
had
acts
to
in
be
his
one of
music
his. I didn't
videos,
look
sure.
up. This had to have been one of his first. Yeah, Enrique Iglesias in this. He was just like
I love the guy.
part of the Elmer.
Not very good. He
Yeah.
wasn't
No.
very good. He had a Spanish accent the whole time, and we talked about the winking to the camera.
Yeah.
moment.
Yeah.
Because like there's this moment where they like he just like hams it up for the camera, like, winks and blows a kiss. And I'm like, what are you doing? Man?
Yeah.
So we got two Spaniards in this Mexican movie playing the leads, and William Dafoe, probably New Jerseyan. Or
Yeah.
somewhere.
Wherever
He seems like a Northeast type of dude. You know,
Yeah.
like kind of, you know, like he has that Northeast type of vibe. I'm sorry if
You
I'm
guys
like,
know who the fourth
pigeonholing.
build person is in this movie?
Ooh,
But according to IMDb,
Enrique Iglesias.
nah.
Fourth build.
Fourth
It's
build?
what is it? It's Antonio Banderas, Salma Hayek, Johnny Depp,
and then-
Enrique Iglesias. That doesn't even make.
They were like.
I think that their whole storyline. I feel like I still don't even know if Antonio Banderas is really the lead of this film because like he barely.
wasn't.
He's
Johnny
like
Depp
barely
was.
in it.
Johnny
Depp
Depp was. Johnny
Yeah.
Depp was in
But
the
it's
movie.
so-
all fucking Antonio Banderas,
Right.
and this was like.
But
hold
it's
up.
supposed to be. It's supposed to be his character. Like his
Yeah.
character is like the hero of the film, and yet the way that Johnny Depp's storyline ends, we're supposed to be like rooting for him. And
Yeah.
I'm like, but this dude was a freaking murderer.
He's terrible.
Like, the whole
Yeah, it was-
Yeah.
They're just
Terrible.
killing cooks because their food is too good.
Yeah.
First
I'm like-
off, can I just say that scene is one of that scene is one of the. There's two lines in this movie that are the dumbest things. Are you in a Mexican or in a Mexican? Like,
And then Danny Trejo goes Mexican.
right? Like, come on.
And then he says it later in the film. He's like, I'm a Mexican.
Yeah, it's like, come on, man, don't do this. And then he's like, this food. He's like, I restore the balance. This food is so good that I'm gonna go into the back, pay my check, go to the back, and shoot the chef because that's what I do.
Yeah.
I restore the balance.
balance.
I'm like, yo, what is
I know,
wrong with
later
you?
he's like,
I'm in the back going like, how good is that pork right
know,
now?
right?
It's so
Like,
funny though because he's like tastes it, and then he tastes it, and then he spits it out. He's like, I guess it wasn't that good.
That sequence is
But
the
then he's
only
still-
sequence that's totally different than the rest of the movie. Like
Yeah.
when he gets up and that steady cam shot and the blood splash.
Yeah, and the blood's on
nothing
the-
else, and
yeah.
it's almost like handheld. Nothing else in the movie matches that one shot.
Yeah.
at all. He just shoots.
But
the
it's
good.
stuff like that. I mean, you know, it's stuff like that scene that makes me go, all right, Enrique Iglesias winking at the camera. At least that moment is
well,
okay.
That's why
Everything else.
That's why it's hard to like be mad at this film.
Yeah,
at all,
'cause when people
like,
get shot,
I'm not
they-
even bad at it. It's just like it's fun. It was like fun to look at.
It's like people get
Like,
shot, they
funny,
blow
like-
But then,
50
like-
feet in the air.
But like, you know,
There's a guitar flamethrower.
There's a
Yo,
guitar
I
flip.
love it.
That was
I
awesome.
love it.
That
and
was
rocket
awesome.
launcher, right?
And a
Like in
rocket
the
launcher.
beginning, it's a rocket
And a rocket
launcher,
launcher.
right?
Yeah.
There's one scene. Whoever the actor is, at one point is so dumb as him and him and Enrique Iglesias at the end, and he's supposed to be the drunkard dude. He literally comes out from behind the wall with his fingers up, like he's shooting a gun until he remembers. Oh, this is the thing you guys just brought up. Hold on, is it a problem that Johnny Depp is trying to get a lead of the movie? Yo?
I mean,
He's
like,
whoa.
I mean,
Technically, he is not the lead,
But he was in the movie more than Antonio Banderas.
But yeah,
right? I remember
he's on the cover of the poster. It's like and Antonio Banderas and Salma Hayek are like behind him, and it's like he's remembered for this movie way
What they
more
did-
than the other.
What they
people.
did with him is what they did, and I think it's unfair to the movie and to the process and to us as people of color. But like what they did to him in the movie was they were like, Johnny Depp's popping right now. There's a role for him in this. And then maybe, and they said it was 65
shot
pages.
in,
They
like,
improvised
8 days.
more, all this stuff,
Yeah.
And they do this all the time. Like Jennifer Lawrence is popping, so they're like, let's just like write more of her character in these X-Men movies. You know what I mean? Like
There's this film called Revenge for Jolly, which is an indie, Kristen Wiig and whatever, and Oscar Isaac's in it. And like Oscar was supposed to be a secondary character. Apparently, like I know a couple of people involved in the film, and like apparently the film was gonna be, like it was decent or whatever.
Yeah.
But Drive had just come out, right? So the producers were like, "Shit, we got to re-edit it, and we got to put more Oscar in it, because we're gonna and this happens a lot in films where it's like
Channing Tatum and G.I. Joe 2.
It's happening
Right,
happening
we
right
gotta
now
do-
with Batman vs Superman. They're trying to figure out how to put more a Batman in it because
Yeah.
Batman's awesome. But I mean that's
but it's true.
So it happens all the time,
happens,
right?
yeah.
Like in all kinds
it's a
of
marketing
different ways.
thing. But
then in
does
this
the story
movie,
suffer? Is the question.
Yeah.
And in this movie, like if it was supposed to be about a mariachi, then yeah.
I
it's
mean,
awesome.
it's so weird when you start to realize, wait, they want us to be on Johnny Depp's side,
Yeah.
because the whole
Because
movie
you
you're
only
like,
realize it towards the end. Because at first you're like, all right, cool, I can't wait till he gets killed.
Yeah, he's gonna get
Yeah.
cut.
And then then he's like, fighting bad guys. But I was like, but he's the worst guy.
right, he's the
He's the
terrible
worst. He's the worst. He's a terrible
Because
one.
It was
when he kills-
morally confusing.
When he kills Eva Mendez's character, because she was bad too. Again, every Mexican is bad in this movie.
Must say,
There's not a good person.
say,
they're all
good.
killers.
It's a
Like
movie.
even El Mariachi.
Mickey Rourke was a moral high.
he
was
was.
my moral
Yeah,
compass.
he was the one you felt
He was
bad
fucking
for.
protecting a
Rourke.
puppy, motherfucker. He's like, no.
I
And
guess
he was
the
crying when he was
FBI
killing people. He was like, man, I gotta get another
Yeah.
job. When he was like killing.
I guess the
Toro.
FBI, the retired FBI agent, is like the one. So, but then you think, and then when he like William Dafoe's character looks out and he sees Johnny Depp and Eva Mendes laying on the ground, I was like, oh great, they're both dead. But then he's not dead. He's alive. And I was
And
like,
how he survives, I don't.
anyway, yeah, he got shot
understand.
twice. Anyway,
Johnny Depp. First off, they pulled that man's eyes out.
yes.
All the blood he lost on his face. He ain't pass out.
And
Like
the one
nothing.
in his legs too.
yeah,
Yeah,
dude,
yeah,
shot
yeah.
twice in the leg.
Like, come on, Johnny. What is he, RoboCop?
Yeah.
Who is this man?
We missed the thing. It was actually Superman reboot.
Right?
There's plenty up for El Zorro.
So Jerah, it's time.
Oh, is it time? So just I'm gonna let you know. So basically, I do this thing called the swirl, because
Lord.
swirl.
in mainstream Hollywood, usually we talk about black men. Usually, like men of color, especially black men, like we're never seen as like the sex symbol who gets to have sex with like the lead actress, especially if it's a white woman. If it's a white woman, he's not having sex with her, not in the movie, unless it's about him being black and her being white.
I see.
Now, technically, in Once Upon a Time in Mexico, there is a difference where I want to bring up because there's a swirl in this movie. We just never see it on camera. There's a Johnny Depp, Eva Mendes swirl because technically in this movie they like date or whatever. She's like using them, blah, 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 blah. But it could have been a swirl and it could have been with Johnny Depp. I say Johnny Depp because Johnny Depp is the lead. All right? Can't tell me Mendes ain't the lead in this movie. I don't care what nobody tell me. It's Johnny Depp.
It's Once Upon a Time in Johnny.
Yeah.
Once upon a time with Johnny. So how this scene could have happened is Johnny comes home, like he comes back to the hotel. He's like, oh, my key don't work. And then all of a sudden he kicks the door in. Now, this is one of those Robert Rodriguez movies where it's super stylized. Eva Mendes is waiting for him with a gun, right?
This is
Yes.
what happens.
No, but hear me out.
I know.
Now, in a different movie, if this was like Sin City, she'd been waiting there in like lingerie with the gun.
I don't like this.
Like, I should kill you. Like, I should kill you. And he's like, no, don't do that. Don't do that. I love you. Let's make little babies that people can't figure out what race they are so they can get jobs. All right. That's what Hollywood wants, right?
So wait, what is this role then? When you talk about like, potential sex scenes in between races?
Well, it's like, cause like to me, it's like the point of like these movies and like the thing that's so tough is that like I feel like we review movies and these dudes who I think are like very handsome men, like, but they're not considered like the sex, like they're not.
You know, it's
with Latin, it happens a little.
It's the
less.
opposite.
Yeah.
Actually,
We're like with Latin, it's like you're either the drug dealer or like the Latin lover,
or the
and
Latin
girl,
lover.
You're either
Yeah.
like naked because everybody wants to have
yeah.
sex with you, or you're the maid. So like there's two polar opposites. You're either this fucking bad dude, or you're either way
you're like a
you're in a
beautiful-
position of service,
Yeah.
right? But like either you're like the
Servicing
young
love.
Latin lover or the pool boy or the whatever that women want to fuck, or you're this super hot, sexy girl that every dude wants to have sex with, or you're just like the frumpy maid, you know, like that's like those are like the new shows, like, you know, like what's the Gina Rodriguez show?
Jane the Virgin.
Kind of change that, but we're also kind of like, you know, the show's also kind of making fun of the whole soap opera,
Right? Yeah.
But
She won
I
an
gotta
Emmy,
tell
right?
you, yeah.
Wait, just to talk about this Latin lovers thing, I gotta show you. So Antonio Banderas was in a bunch of films before Desperado, even, and he was like,
really?
he was huge in Spain.
Oh, in Spain,
he was
yeah.
huge in Spain. He was like, what's that guy? Oh man, Almodovar.
Almodovar, yeah.
Yeah, he was like, you know, which is a great director, and like, but he did a couple of movies, and if you remember, he was in Philadelphia.
Oh, he was.
Was
Right.
he
Yes.
before?
Yes.
Well,
Philadelphia was before. It's
He was
93.
great in that.
He
Yes,
was
he was.
Tom Hanks's
He was lover.
lover, right? Okay, so he's in this movie called The House of the Spirits with like Meryl Streep, whatever. Look at the photo cover for that.
Oh my
No,
God.
I think
He's
it's
on top of somebody
he's
kissing
on
their
top
neck.
of like some white woman. Okay, so then
I want to see the cover. I'm
wait,
curious
so
now.
and then here is him. That was in '93. In '94, look at the cover of that movie.
What is that, Of Love and Shadows? He is like going to town on this.
Okay,
girl.
you got
Another white girl,
Listen,
Jennifer Connelly.
We need to
In 3
tweet
movies
out
in a
these
row.
pictures so you guys can see the Latin
You know,
lover.
he has another
I
movie.
kind of noticed that it
just
doesn't
him.
happen.
It's just him, like, and then if
black
you
and
go
white.
down, if you go
Yeah.
more,
Yeah.
he's like the lover in a couple of movies
Oh wait,
after.
he
like,
had one movie that I thought growing up was like in my mind was, I guess, porn.
Oh, Sin.
With the
Original
two
Sin.
women?
No, with
Original
Angelina
Sin.
Jolie.
Original Sin. Oh, he had two back to back. It was Original Sin with Angelina Jolie, and he had one called Femme Fatale afterwards with Rebecca Romaine Stamos. And I remember that movie vividly because, like, literally that movie was just them having sex the entire.
Yeah, it's
and you
Antonio
know what?
Banderas having sex.
They don't need to be no swirl,
Wait.
man. Antonio Banderas is
Yeah,
winning.
they don't.
but
Yeah,
but
we're-
because he's Spanish.
Yeah.
Damn.
I mean, Latin dudes also, like, you know, like, we're pegged a lot as, like, you know, you're like, either this jack dude that, like, you know, there's really bad things, and there's also kind of, like, really silly things. Like, you will notice, like, if you're a Latin dude or whatever, you, like, come to the States or in New York the first year, there's a few girls from, like, down south, their parents were like, don't you ever mess with a Mexican, and I'm not Mexican, you know, close enough
Right.
to them, you know, and they're like, I hear you guys are real nice lovers.
Oh, man.
Yeah.
Oh, shit, yeah. You know, I will ride this wave for as long
Yeah,
as I can.
is it right?
But, you know, that's kind of like, but, you know, it happens way more with female Latina actresses. And I've seen this in sketches, and it happens all the time where it's like, you're either the sex symbol, right? There's very few times where you should see a normal, empowered Latin woman. You know, one of the examples that I saw was like in House of Cards. You know how his, you know, the woman was Latina.
Yeah.
She was,
Who's Latina in House of Cards?
well, she's not. She's actually Indian. But you know, she like the first season, she was like the president's secretary. She wasn't the secretary of state, but she was like the chief of staff.
Oh, and she like, and now, okay, I know what you're talking about. Yeah.
And I was like, that's great. You know, there's a Latin woman empowered in a position of power,
Yeah.
and an intellectual. And no, the actress is not Latin.
Yeah.
It turns out she plays a Latin woman, but you know, but
that's
it happens. My point is, with Latina women, there's these two stereotypes. They're either really sexy, right, or they're just like the frumpy maid or whatever. And that's like, I think right now it's starting to change a little bit, but I think they have it hard in that way. We have it hard in the way that it's hard to get out of a kitchen, or it's hard to get out of like dealing drugs.
Yeah.
Even you know, Broad City, dude, like I legitimately gave Abby and Alana weed, gave them weed in exchange for a gift card, one episode. And then every person I meet, they're like, oh, the drug dealer from Broad City.
Are you
I'm like,
serious?
what?
That's the one that they think about?
Yeah, because in
Wow.
Wikipedia, that's what it says. I'm like the drug dealer
What?
roommate.
Oh,
In
Wikipedia.
Yeah.
Oh,
I'm
we
like,
gotta
tell
change.
me one
Wow.
time. Tell me one time that you saw me like slinging drugs on the
Right.
street. I'm the
Also, like
sweetest character.
everybody in that show is a
Smokes
freaking
weed.
weed smoker.
Everyone
and
smokes
so
weed on that
are
show.
any
You're
of
the
them
drug
drug
dealer,
dealers?
though. You know what I mean?
Wow.
But we were talking about it with Abby the other day. She said, "Oh shit, in this too," and I was like, "I know," but like it wasn't like an intentional thing.
Right.
Like,
No,
people
but it's-
just like picked
but
up.
that's
That was
the
a fact
thing.
that they grabbed onto.
That's
They're
the thing
like,
is
oh.
they'll see that once out of 100 times, but because Hollywood continues to promote that stereotype, people that's how they categorize it, and so they see and they're like, oh yeah, and I saw it once, great. I bet you there are people who were saying that and they never even saw that episode where you gave them weed.
yeah.
You know what I mean?
Y'all got me scared, man. I got a big job playing a gang member who robs people, man. Is that gonna haunt me for life? Is that gonna haunt me for life?
It's not gonna hunt you, but I'll tell you what Broad City does very well, and the reason why like I will always love Abby and Alana forever, and it's because the thing is, this character, I play a gay character. I'm not gay myself, but I don't play him ironically. I think it's an honor to play him because it also kind of breaks the stereotype for somebody like, imagine somebody growing up in Guatemala and like he realizes that he's gay and it's a very closed-minded society, and suddenly you're like, oh my God, my life is gonna suck. And then you watch a show where this guy has a bunch of friends. He's super lovely, wears whatever the fuck he wants, has a great time in New York. And that's something that Avi and Alana put out there through comedy. Yeah. And that's wonderful. And now the new film that I just did with Ang Lee, right? We did a soldier film. And this film also, like, it's based on a book called Billy Lynn's Long Halftime Walk. And I thank the author because in the movie, you don't see, like, in the book and in the movie, being, like, he's of Mexican descent, but he's from Arizona, and there's a couple of black characters in the squad. But no, everybody's brothers, like this is my brother over here, this is your, and so being Latin is not a handicap in the jobs that I'm doing or that I'm trying to do moving forward. Right. And I think that's what we just, as actors and as people representing media, we have to do. We have to write stories where being of any race or culture is not a handicap. You don't succeed in spite of being, you succeed, you don't see, you succeed because you succeed as a human being. Exactly. You know what I'm saying? And I think we're trying to see a trend, but we still have like fucking miles to go. Yeah. And we used to have to start with Wikipedia.
Yeah, Wikipedia. Right. Take the drug dealer part out of there, man. It's crazy. That's crazy.
It's weed, man. It's like legal.
Wow,
it's just
drug
weed.
Dealer. Yeah. I know. I'm still thinking, even like that movie. Cicero or whatever.
Oh, the one that just came out?
Yeah, with Benicio del Toro. I wonder if he plays.
Sicario.
No, Sicario. He plays like he's a
cop.
I think he's a good guy in there.
He's a cop.
Oh, he's like, yeah, I think.
Because he was in Traffic and he was in 21 Great. He got nominated for both of those films.
Yeah, he won.
And then he's never been nominated ever since. He wasn't nominated for The Usual Suspects. He was great in that. Anyway,
cool. He was fantastic.
Okay, cool. So we're gonna go to the cause.
Yeah. Time to.
Oh, let's up. You got to set the cause. You got to set what the cause is.
No, you don't have anything to say, huh?
No, I don't have.
It's more peaceful.
Be a confusing 5 minutes.
I think we can get into the. I'm sorry, I have a question. Is Hancock a good movie? How do we feel about Hancock?
Will Smith has no way to relate to this.
No, because Hancock, right?
He's a superhero.
Is a superhero. So
he's a drunk superhero, but he's a superhero.
He's a drunk superhero. Yes. And so you can imagine that in the world of Hancock. Just it relates in this way.
Can we just do it?
You can imagine in the world of Hancock, there are like stories that are told about Hancock, like myths.
Can we do the cause now? This Hancock thing you're confused.
No, it's so and he has powers, he has abilities, and people are like, what? And he does stuff that people are amazed by, like El Mariachi.
You feel real proud of yourself right now.
I do.
But if you realize, him and Charlize Theron never,
and then they never hook up. So I'm just saying they're the same movie is what I'm actually
Can we set up what the cause is now?
Okay, fine. If we have to do the cause.
Wow. Okay, so here's the cause. The cause is we don't rate films based on how well they did. I don't know. I guess commercially or critically. We rate them based on if they help the cause. The cause being more people of color in leading roles
in studio films.
In studio films, not independent films, because we understand independent films promote people of color way more than studio films. And then also that the film isn't necessarily about the race of, like, it's not just like a race film.
It's not. Yeah, it's not like the black dude comes to town and he has to deal with like whatever.
So like leading roles for people of color. And they can just be people.
Yeah, that's all we want. We just want people of color. Let's be people. Yeah. That's it.
So we do either we do a black fist, white palm, or nothing. Black fist is supporting it a lot. White palm means so. Nothing means doesn't support it all. Okay, you ready? You ready? All right. So on the count of three, we're gonna we're gonna lift the. All right. 1, 2, 3. Oh, it got 3 white palms and Jonathan Braylock gave it nothing. You go first. Yo, I gave this film nothing. Here's the thing, though. I will say I did enjoy watching this film. I like Robert Rodriguez. I love From Dusk Till Dawn. I like Sin City a lot. I even like Spy Kids.
Great movie.
Yeah.
It's a good movie.
And that one probably I would rate it much higher on the cause. But this film, like, my thing was like, okay, this is you're. I don't know how many people saw Desperado, but a good amount of people saw Once Upon a Time in Mexico. You have a film where you can have at least like even the FBI informant's character like make him the protagonist. You know what I mean? Like, make him the lead or whatever. Like, have it be so it's not just like every Mexican in this movie is just like wields guns, shoots people, is cool with it. Everybody's cool with violence. Everybody is a part of the drug trade somehow. If they're not in it, they're affected by it like severely. Like, there's no, and like it seems like the way that he has it, I don't know. And the fact that Antonio Banderas is like of Spanish descent, but like he isn't putting, like, George Clooney, I think, was the star from Dust Till Dawn. Sorry, I know that's not this movie, but it's just like
he was.
But I'm just like, cool, man. Like, I don't know. It just Once Upon a Time in Mexico. It's like it's one of those films. I think about that. I think about like the Mexican star, like.
Well, my thing is, but
you know what I mean? Like,
but it's set in the world. Is that
it's set in the world? But that's what I'm saying. It's set in the world, but it's set in this stereotypical world that it's just like in 2003. It's still promoting this image of like Mexico is just the place where people
cartels
drink, they sing, you know, and it's drugs. Like, that's what Mexico is. And like, you always think of Mexico as like a third world country if you're from America, because the images that you have of Mexico from films are constantly this and nothing else.
Yeah,
so that's I was just like I can't give anything.
Yeah, and I'll just say similarly, that's the reason I gave it a. Basically, what you just said is the reason I gave it a palm. But then on top of that, though, like this movie, this is a kind of movie that should exist. It's like it's fun, you know, and like in the world of this movie, you want that stuff, you know, like you want. You want the guns, you want the drugs. It's connected to that story, and it is. And but I can't speak because I'm not of Latino or Hispanic descent. I don't have any of that heritage in me at all. Or Pan-Hispanic. I'm not, but I am I am a man child. But I do think that like it's hard because of that. It's hard because of the line that I think it teeters.
I gave it a palm because this is my thing. I enjoyed it. I think this movie was just a fluff popcorn movie. I think like when it comes to the violence of it, I think, man, if this movie was starring like Sylvester Stallone, this movie would have been like set in like New York. It would have been a bunch of white people shooting up. It's just like, to me, it's like it just happened to be set.
You think all New Yorkers would have picked up guns and started shooting into the military?
In the style of this movie,
in the style,
yes.
He might have been like, it might have been revolved around like a block that was like impoverished. I mean, the thing is, like, again, like I think this style of movie just like did this. But I understand that, like, again, like there's not a lot of positive, you know, pictures in media and like in Hollywood about like Mexico itself. It's just tricky because, you know, I always come at Spike Lee super hard because like he's a black director, and it's like, I mean, Robert Rodriguez wanted to do a fun, like, you know, action movie, which he created. You know, he had like he hired a lot of Latino and Spanish descent actors. I mean, I think he tried. Of course, it could have been better, but like, it was a popcorn flick. I don't think he was trying to send like a message to like the world.
No, definitely not. Yeah.
You know?
Especially, well, that's along the, I mean, I gave it a pump to like on the technicality, and the technicality is if you're specifically asking if this does something to put more Latino actors in lead roles, then yeah. I mean, a lot of the people and the characters in this movie were Latino,
right?
Or Spanish or Pan-Hispanic, whatever. Does it promote like a good image of like what Mexico is or what Latin America is? No, it doesn't. Did it aim for that? Probably not. You know, did it have to aim for it? Not really. You know, like he can make whatever type of film he wants. You know, and you're right. It was a fun action movie. Yeah. Does it hurt? Probably because of the fact that the normal audience member is not seeing this like, oh, they just wanted to make a fun, you know, film set in Mexico, but he's like, oh, I knew it. You see this guy, they can shoot. They can shoot these guys, you know. So in a way, of course it hurt, but on the other side of the spectrum, you're right. I can't blame him for not using this. It wasn't supposed to be this cerebral indie about race. It's just like a fun spaghetti western. And if that was the purpose, then he did a good job at it. You know, I really enjoyed it. And I would watch it again because I like laugh throughout at the Mexican and Mexican.
The Mexican and Mexican.
Yeah. Or Johnny, the fun was Johnny Depp wearing
The CIA.
The CIA
Say
agent
shirt? Oh, my-
That's like he's just wearing
In
a
shorts.
shirt says
In
CIA.
shorts. Like everything about Johnny Depp.
Jacket. It was like ridiculous.
Nothing about
It was
Johnny
probably
Depp.
His fake arm.
I'll do this, but you have to let me do whatever the fuck I want.
Whatever
Yeah.
I want.
Yeah, and he's like,
He
sure,
might have.
man.
He might have flew down to Mexico with that shirt on. Be like, hey, I'm an FBI agent. Perfect. Like, wardrobe
man.
done.
All right. So do you have anything to plug that you like to plug, Arturo?
Well, yeah. I mean, always, guys, please watch Alternatino, my new show. You can watch
Yeah.
it online.
When is it?
And-
Oh, it's online, but it's
you can watch it online at ComedyCentral.com and on YouTube.
Great.
They just gave us 3 more episodes, and at the end of those
Congrats.
3 episodes, we have an option to go to a series. So hopefully, with your guys' support, we do it. And the reason why I want you to come, especially in a podcast like this, is because what we're trying to do with Alternatino is like showcase like some of the worst stereotypes that like people think about being Latin, exaggerate them and put them on the front line. So when you go, oh my God, that's so ridiculous, we go, exactly. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And because like in a time of like, especially in a political season, the only counter that I have towards hate sound bites is humor, right?
Yep.
And the most pleasant way that I know how to like portray my culture is through laughter, And so I hope you guys support us through that. And other than that, I want to thank you guys for having me.
man,
And
thanks for coming, man.
It was great.
Can people find you on Twitter, or do you do any of
Yeah,
that?
Twitter, Instagram, all that
Instagram,
stuff.
all that good stuff.
Yeah.
And then there was a film that just came out.
Yes, I have a bunch of films that just came out. But yeah, but look out for the new Ang Lee film. It's called Billy Lynn's Long Halftime Walk. Hold that thought because it doesn't come out until like November 2016.
Oh, right,
But there's another film I just shot with Susan Sarandon called Kid Witness. If you get a chance to see that, Me America is in theaters right now.
Me America.
Yeah,
that's
Me
what I like.
America. Yeah, it's about a hate crime, so fun for the whole family. So yeah, there's it's been. I'm really like I can't like my chest sometimes like feels like it's gonna explode with gratitude because if when you get to play with your dreams every day. Like it's not an accident, man.
Yeah.
Like you have to recycle your good fortune. Somebody in like LA, I'm gonna steal their phrase, but they're like, when you make it to the penthouse, dude, just send the elevator back down. And that's what I want to do with Alternatino and all the shows that I do. It's like give people a platform, so that you're like, because I know so many awesome actors, and that's what having Alana did for me. So for the rest of my career, just know that I'm an audience member first. And I'm never going to bring something shitty to you because I don't want to waste your time.
It's dope.
Great.
That's dope.
real, man.
All right. Well, we'll be back in a bit, but that's Once Upon a Time in America with Arturo Castro.
I can't.
I suck. I suck too.
You can't do it either.
I can't.
Yes.
I can't roll my arms up there.
No, man.
That was a HeadGum podcast.